What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with Astrodfs bringing you a new video. Today's video, I'm going over the Week 3 cash game slate. It is going to be an interesting one. There are a lot of injuries still pending, even at 8 o'clock in the morning right now. Some of them are coming out as news, but there are some game-changing ones that are still out there. So I'm just going to break down position by position some of the cash game plays that I am interested in today, and just basically giving that out to you guys to try to help you guys decide your cash game lineups today. So let's start at the quarterback. We have two $8,000 quarterbacks this week, and Josh Allen being the most expensive, and he's probably got the best matchup on paper. Josh Allen is killing it in fantasy. Even when they're winning a lot, he is still putting up fantasy points. 8,200 against Miami. Miami has a very good matchup, which is why Tua at 6,100 is another good piece. Buffalo basically going to be without 4 defensive backs, which is shaky. And you saw what Miami was able to do, especially in that second half against Baltimore with a banged up secondary. So Josh Allen and Tua are both quarterbacks in my cash game pool. We continue to go down to Jalen Hurts at 7,600 against Washington. Another guy that, even though his passing numbers aren't the greatest, his rushing upside is what gets him so many fantasy points. He's going to see Carson Wentz facing his team for the first time, his former team for the first time. And at 7,600, it's a really good payoff for Jalen Hurts, who that offense revolves solely on. And his rushing upside of just getting rushing touchdowns makes up for his lack of passing touchdowns right now. More paydowns, you get Kirk Cousins here at 6,700. I do like Kyler, but he's more of a tournament play. But I do like his matchup. I think this is the game that he bounces back. But Kirk Cousins here at 6,700 is definitely a play for me. Playing Detroit, who Detroit is one of the faster-paced teams. They put up a lot of points. They allow a lot of points. And it's just an overall good matchup for all Minnesota players today. Really like that. Matt Stafford down here at 6,500, yet again playing against Arizona. You look back at last year, and the games between the Rams and the Cardinals were both high-scoring games. And you look for these teams to continue to do the same thing. The Rams' defense is just not playing well at all, and their offense just moves the ball, but they're not putting up a lot of points. But Matt Stafford at 6,500 is definitely a play that I really like. Going down, I think the only other couple names, you get Jared Goff there at 5,800, but he's more of a tournament play for me. But Derek Carr at 5,900 against Tennessee. Going to be without Hunter Renfrow, but I think with what we saw, the connection of Mac Hollins, Devontae Adams, I don't see getting locked up like he did last week. And then Darren Waller. Some good matchups there for the Raiders, especially if Josh Jacobs is out. I expect them to kind of throw the ball more. 5,900, I think it's a good payoff. Other than that, there are not a lot of names that I would be interested in paying down here at all for cash. So that's probably it. Tua, Derek Carr are probably the bottom 2 quarterbacks that I would play in cash. We go to running backs. Jonathan Taylor is a huge guy if you pay up, but I don't think you could really pay up for Jonathan Taylor this week. If you're playing tournaments, I would pay up for Jonathan Taylor. I'd definitely get some exposure there. I think it's a good matchup for him, and I think he's due for a really big game here. Dalvin Cook is one of those names. Austin Eckler is another name, but I like Dalvin Cook $100 cheaper than Eckler, and got a way better matchup against Detroit, who's, I think, the second worst defense to running backs. So another good matchup there. And then Joe Mixon again as another running back this week, 7,600, that I'm liking to pay up for. There are some cheaper options, but these two guys are definitely those running backs that I'm paying up for. That's probably the most expensive that I'm paying up for, 7,900 in cash. DeAndre Swift there at 7,200. They continue to use him no matter what. 7,200 is expected to play. I like that matchup. I like DeAndre Swift today. Leonard Fournette at 65. The main reason with Leonard Fournette, like most of you know, is Tampa Bay's possibly down their top 3 receivers in Evans is already out, Godwin's already out, and Julio's a true game time decision. They don't expect him to play. If he does, I would expect him to be limited. So that means Leonard Fournette is probably going to get some more volume here against Green Bay, which should be a close matchup overall. Lower scoring game if I had to bet on it. But yeah, Leonard Fournette 6,500 is definitely a play for me. We keep going down. David Montgomery, I think, is the big play this week. Either getting David Montgomery or you go down to Damian Pierce here at 5,000. I think either one of those are in play. Both defenses very bad against the run. David Montgomery seems to play good against bad teams, but a game that should be a lower scoring game. The Bears just run the ball. They don't like to pass at all, apparently. 5,900, David Montgomery. Cordell Patterson is starting to rise up on my rankings this week. I think Cordell Patterson's got a great matchup against Seattle. Seattle, another team that's really bad against the run. We saw what someone like Javonte Williams did, and Javonte breaks a lot more tackles, but as far as getting the receptions, that's kind of what you expect out of Cordell Patterson. It was a lower volume week for him last week, but a game like Seattle where it should be close, I'd look for someone like Cordell Patterson to eat up a lot of fantasy points today. Other than that, there's not a lot of names that scream anything crazy to me. Josh Jacobs being out possibly, but you look on the depth chart of Vegas here, you get Brandon Bolden, who I would assume gets a lot of the work. Zamir White I would like to see, but Abdullah is there too. Nothing for him, but with how Vegas runs, like, I would, if you're going to take a Vegas running back for a tournament, expecting Josh Jacobs to not play, I don't know what that's like. Bolden would be my guy, but I'm probably staying away from that in general. Wide receivers is great. Cooper Kupp, 9,900. Definitely would pay up for him in tournaments. Don't recommend in cash right now. Justin Jefferson, another guy, 9,300, would definitely pay up for. Devontae Adams, I'd pay up for. These three guys, if you can afford to pay up, like if you spend down at quarterback, you spend down at running back, which is easy to do. You have to have a Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, or Devontae Adams. One of those three guys, they're all expected to have really good games, really good matchups, really good game scripts for all three receivers here. But yeah, if you're playing one of the higher up quarterbacks, you're paying up for a running back, you're probably not paying up with a wide receiver, seeing there's not a whole lot of value at wide receiver below 4K like we've gotten a lot this season, the previous 2 weeks. So if you can get to him, definitely any three of them. Obviously, Devontae Adams, you get a $900 discount between Adams and Jefferson, and Adams is going to be without Renfro. But yeah, it is crazy to pay up for him. But if you could do it, do it. Obviously, Stephon Diggs, I think, is the guy that everyone is sort of paying up for. 7,700 is definitely up there in price. But if you're doing a stack with Josh Allen, you almost have to have Stephon Diggs, 7,700 against Miami. It should be a really good game. Tyreek Hill, if you want to throw it back with Tyreek Hill, or pay down a little for Jalen Waddle, that's easily doable. That's a recommendation by me of going a Waddle or Tyreek Hill today. Michael Pittman against Kansas City, 6,900 is another good one. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 7,200 going against Justin Jefferson. I think that wide receiver battle, although they're not on the field, obviously, at the same time, but that wide receiver battle that Amon-Ra just has basically a fuck you mentality and just wants to bury every other wide receiver and show that he was definitely not valued anywhere near his talent level. Amon-Ra 7,200 I think is a great price here. I'm not touching any of the Chargers receivers. I do think they have some good matchups there, but with Herbert either playing or not playing, I'm probably going to stay away from it. I'll bite the bullet. I'll take that loss if one of those guys pop off, but I'm personally going to stay away. We continue to go down. Allen Lazard, I think, is definitely worth a look. This is the healthiest he's been. They get their tackle in Bakhtiari back, and they're facing the Tampa Bay defense that's really good. By all means, he's not on my cash lineup, but definitely tournament play I'll throw in there. Michael Thomas at 5,900. Like, I'm expecting his price to continue to go up all season. He looks really good. He's got a good matchup against Carolina. Even if Jameis is banged up, Michael Thomas at 5,900 is still a guy that I like. If you can't pay for Justin Jefferson and you really like that Detroit-Minnesota game, Adam Thielen, although hasn't gotten the volume that you would expect him to get, is definitely a play. But I'd probably go Brandon Cooks here at 5,800 against the Bears. The Bears secondary is just, besides Jalen Johnson and the safeties of Brisker and Jackson, if you're looking at Gordon, who Brandon Cooks is probably going to see some of, it's 5,800 is a great price point for him, in my opinion. 5,700 if you want exposure to the Rams Arizona game. Allen Robinson 5,700 I think is going to get more and more included. We saw last week he got 5 targets, 53 yards, and a touchdown, and improved from that 2.2 on that Thursday night opening game. I think that just continues as the season goes on, of getting more volume. I think that week 1 was just a weird situation in general. Other than that, Jacoby Myers down here at 5,000 I think is a guy that I definitely want to get to as well. The Baltimore secondary is banged up. They're not playing well, the guys that are playing, but at 5,000, Jacoby Myers is definitely a guy that I have a lot of interest. Going down, there's Chris Olave here. I do like for GPP. Other than that, Greg Dortch is another name that I'll throw out there. I think he's definitely worth playing cash again. You look at his 2 games so far this season and the price that he's had, he goes up another $800 at 4,300, but still probably has the best matchup out of all Arizona wide receivers. Tight end, Kelsey is 7,900 if you pay up for him. He's not, I think Waller is probably the tight end that I would pay up for. Andrews, I think, is still going to be involved. Kelsey, like, those guys are definitely going to get points, but for the price that you're paying, you really need them to pay off. Darren Waller is there. Kyle Pitts is probably one of my guys this week that I really like to pay up for in tight end, and it's not really paying up overall, but tight ends you typically will pay down for in cash unless Kelsey just screams best play on the slate, which, don't get me wrong, he is, but he's almost 8,000. But Kyle Pitts, 4,800 playing against Seattle, I think is a really good matchup. I think this is the game that he breaks out. 4,800, a great price. Tyler Higbee at 4,500. Arizona is the worst defense against tight ends by far, getting destroyed by Travis Kelce. And then last week, Darren Waller having another good game. Tyler Higbee at 4,500 is that next tight end in line. I think he's due for a really good game. Dawson Knox, I'd watch the injury status. I think this is a game Dawson Knox could have a top 12 tight end finish as far as redraft fantasy. He's played 2 of the rougher teams against tight end. I mean, last week banged up, so didn't expect a lot, but still a play. Evan Ingram here at 3,700, just because of the targets that he's probably going to get. Definitely a play there for me. Logan Thomas, another name that I like against Philly. I just don't think there's a lot of names other than Irv Smith that I like at tight end for this price of paying down 3,100 for a guy that has a really good game script. And it's you saw what happened last week with Irv Smith. 14.6, targeted 8 times, missed on a couple of the deep balls that probably would have gave him another 5 points at least. Irv Smith, 3,100 is definitely play. Defense, not really interested in talking defenses. It's pretty much random. But if I had to go defense, Jaguars at 2,300 is that defense that interests me. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys want our plays for DFS, if you want bets, props, have any DFS questions as far as contests, as far as players, any of that, fantasy news, anything, just join our Discord. The link for that will be in the description down below. It's a very cheap package for what we give out. So hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you in the next one.